Hey, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to make a video today because I wanted to share my experience of what happened back in Lima, Peru, back in September of 2021, and how I met this girl that I was down there. So basically, I had originally booked a flight to go to Santiago, Chile back in June. But because of the restrictions and how everything was completely controlled by the governments, by the various governments and across the world, I couldn't actually make it to Santiago because they were not letting tourists come into the country. So I had to rebook the flight for September of 2021, hoping that by the time September would come that the restrictions would be eased a little bit by the government. Well, it turns out that September came and went, and unfortunately the country of Chile did not allow tourists to come into the country. The only people that they were allowing in were actually Chilean citizens, or those individuals that were actually married or related to people that were either born or were residents of Chile. So at that point, I got very frustrated. I lost my patience, and I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna change my destination. I want to go somewhere else. And I spoke with the airline, and the airline was able to change my flight to Lima, Peru, for the month of September. So I got a better deal because obviously because of the distance. I'm actually located here in Northern California, so I flew down to Lima, Peru, and it became cheaper than to fly down to Santiago, which is obviously a longer distance. So I flew down to Lima, Peru back on September 13th. I arrived there. I stayed in a place called Los Olivos. It's not a very safe neighborhood from what I understood from the locals. The only reason why I booked my stay there is because it was only 10 minutes away from the airport. So I said to myself, this is probably a good location to stay. I'm not going to have to pay a large taxi fee or a shared driver fee. So I decided to stay there, and it was a big mistake because what happened was I basically traveled every single day. I had to catch a Didi and travel, anywhere between half an hour to 45 minutes just to get to the main tourist attractions of the city, which were Miraflores, Barranco, Chorrillos, and the downtown area, el centro de Lima, Peru. So anyway, I got to Los Olivos. I went by myself. I didn't know anybody down there. And it occurred to me that I wanted to use once again the dating apps in order to find out if I was able to actually meet someone. Well, it turns out that I started talking to this girl within, I'd say, about 4 hours or so after I started using the app. And we started sending each other messages, just getting to know each other, getting familiar with each other. And she was asking me questions about whether or not I was from Peru, whether or not I was going to stay on a long-term basis, or if I was going only on vacation. And I told her that I was only there for a couple of days, for about a week and a half. And ultimately what happened was we agreed to go out on a date on the weekend. So I arrived there on Monday the 13th, and I had to wait about 5 days because she was very busy with her working schedule. Apparently the shifts down in Latin America are not your traditional 9 to 5 shifts that you see here in the United States. Down in Latin America, you can work anywhere between 8 to 12 hours a day, and you work pretty much Monday through Saturday. So these folks really don't have much time to socialize or to rest. So in the case of this girl, she just didn't have any time during the week, so I had to wait till Saturday. So by the time Saturday came and went, or actually by the time Saturday arrived, we actually decided to meet at the downtown area, in Centro de Lima, which is a place called Plaza de Armas, which is located at, where they have the all the government facilities, the palace, for instance, and basically the heart of the government actually is located in that Plaza de Armas place. So I arrived there. We went to a restaurant in one of the main callejones, as they like to call it in Spanish. It's a very popular location for tourists. They actually have like a chocolate museum there. They have like a very famous a place where they sell you liquor, including their very famous pisco mezcal type of well, it's an alcoholic beverage. It's not mezcal, but it's called pisco. It's very famous down in South America, not just in Peru, but other countries as well. And this restaurant happened to be right there in that location. So I arrived there. I waited for I'd say about 18 minutes or so, and then finally she arrived. And she was exactly the same girl that I had seen in the pictures. She was a little bit younger than I was. I'd say about 10 to 12 years younger than I was. A very attractive girl, really very, very feminine looking. And we actually had a meal there. We went to once we finished having the meal, we went to the local souvenir areas, where there's a lot of, like I mentioned, a lot of tourists buying all kinds of things to take with them back home. And we were looking around that area. After we got tired of it, we decided to just grab some sort of another very popular drink, which is called chicha morada. That's what it's called. It's chicha morada. It's made out of corn and sweet corn, a purple looking beverage. It's very delicious. And we were just sitting on the bench and we were just talking for a couple of hours, very long time there. And then after that, we decided to catch a Didi, and we went to Miraflores. It's about a 25-minute drive from el centro of Lima. We went to Miraflores. We went to this place called La Comar, which is a interesting looking shopping center where it's like a multi-layer shopping center. They have a lot of restaurants there. They have a lot of shopping stores, American and European stores. And we were just walking around. It's a beautiful place. It's right next to the Pacific Ocean. And we spent there another hour or so because it was getting dark. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Lima, but Lima tends to be very cold throughout the year, especially in September. It was pretty much overcast my entire stay there. And this girl was really down to earth, very cooperative. She wanted to become not only my partner, but also my tourist guide. So she was showing me a lot of places around, not just the downtown area, but also Miraflores, and a little bit south, a place called Barranco, which has also a lot of interesting looking small towns that are very, very typical and very classical down in Latin America, not just in Peru, but in other countries as well. It turned out to be a very good date. She was telling me that she hadn't gone out on a date, believe it or not, in about 3 years. That I was actually the first guy that she had met online. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm gonna take her for her word. I'm gonna take her for at her word and believe what she said. But she had not gone out in about 3 years, out on a date. and she was a little bit nervous, very introverted, but ultimately a very nice girl, and very, like I said, very feminine looking, very attractive. And we stayed there. After that place in Barranco, I remember she told me that she had to go back to her house because she was going to attend some personal matters at her house. Apparently she was living with her parents. She told me that if I ever went back to Lima and went out on a date with her again, that she would introduce me to her family on the second time around, as she would be able to get to know me a little bit more. But of course, I haven't been back to Lima. I have no plans of going back to Lima, so I'm probably never gonna see her again. But she went back to her house to attend some personal matters. She basically, I called a taxi, she left, and then I went back to my Airbnb in Los Olivos. And then a day later, which was on a Sunday, we actually met again. But this time it was in a different location. It's not very typical. It's not a very touristy area. It was a pretty rough-looking place, but I didn't see anything threatening, anything that was unsafe. But the surroundings they were definitely pretty rough-looking. It looked like a mean hood from Lima. And she was really nice. I mean, it was a good experience overall. And I really don't advocate, or I don't advise going on these dating apps, because a lot of the times, especially when you go to a Latin American country, or if you go to a third world country, it could be Asia, it could be, Latin America. Many girls use these dating apps to sell their services. In other words, there's a lot of escorts that are pretending to be looking for guys just to meet them and go out on dates, and hopefully, maybe if things work out, become boyfriend and girlfriend. But the reality is, a lot of them actually are using these dating apps, to sell their services and find customers. But the two times that I've used it, down in Colombia and also in Peru on this occasion, I was very, very lucky that I found some girls that were, very down to earth, very family oriented. And this girl really was very sweet. Like I said, she never expected anything from me. She never asked me of anything. There was no nefarious attitudes on her part. It was just strictly a situation where she wanted to meet me, or she wanted to meet a guy, and she gave me the opportunity to spend some time with her. But I mean, it was a good experience overall. But I still, despite the fact that I've had these experiences, good positive experiences with these girls, I still wouldn't recommend meeting women. If you're going to be traveling abroad, I wouldn't recommend using the dating apps. I would actually try to meet them in person, because if you meet them in person, you'll know exactly how they look. You'll be able to read their body language. You'll be able to see what type of a personality they have, even though if it's a short period of time. And vice versa, she'll be able to see who you are, what you have to offer. And there will be a more intimate connection if you do it the traditional way, rather than using the dating apps. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video because just wanted to share my experience down in Lima, Peru, when I was down there in September of last year. Had no plans of going there, but I guess things happen for a reason. Anyway, have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you on the next video, which will